This lesson is 10.4, which is called Subtracting Mixed Numbers. You will have two objectives. Your first objective is to learn how to change denominators to subtract mixed numbers. Your second objective is to change mixed numbers to improper fractions when subtracting if this is necessary in the problem. First of all, we're going to just do a type of review problem. There are two steps when subtracting. First, you need to subtract the fraction. When we are subtracting the fraction, we're just looking at the fraction column on the side. In this case, I'm looking at 3/4 subtract 1/4. Remember, the first thing you have to do is subtract the numerators. 3 subtract 1 equals 2. And then the denominator stays the same. Step 2 is subtract the whole numbers. In this case, the whole numbers are 4 minus 1. And 4 subtract 1 is 3. So your answer is going to be 3 2/4, or 3 1/2. However, sometimes your denominators might be different from each other. As you can see in this problem, we have 5 4/5 subtract 2 1/10. Our denominators 5 and 10 are different, so we need to change them in order to make them the same. I know that 5 can go into 10, so I'm going to make this 4/5 equal an equivalent fraction that has 10 as its denominator. 5 times 2 is 10, so 4 times 2 equals 8. So my new problem reads 5 8/10 subtract 2 1/10. So your first step in this type of problem is to first change the denominators so that they are the same number. And then step 2 is we can subtract the fractions like normal. I'm going to take 8/10 subtract 1/10, and my answer is going to be 7/10. Step 3 is subtract the whole number, and 5 minus 2 is 3. So your answer is 3 7/10. Question is, what if you can't subtract the fractions? For example, if you had the problem 4 1/3 subtract 1 2/3, how would you go about subtracting 1/3, or taking 2/3, from 1/3? Because 2/3 is a bigger number. First, you have to do a different step in order to solve this problem. You need to go ahead and take a whole number away from the top and then add its improper fraction. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cross out the 4 and make it a 3. The whole number of just a single one-digit number would be considered 3/3. And I'm going to take that whole number and just go ahead and add it to the fraction side. So 1/3 plus 3/3 equals 4/3. Now I have an improper fraction because I redistributed the whole number, but now I can take my 4/3 and my 2/3 and do a proper subtraction problem. So 4 subtract 2 is 2, and 3 just stays as my denominator. The next thing I need to do is just go ahead and subtract the whole numbers, only this time I'm subtracting 3 minus 1, and its answer equals 2. So your answer in this problem is 2 2/3. We're going to do a few more problems like that. In this question, we have 5 1/8 subtract 3 5/8. Once again, we're trying to subtract the bigger number of 5/8 from 1/8. So what I'm going to do is cross out my whole number of 5, make it a 4 instead, and then I'm going to add 8/8 onto the fraction part. So my new fraction is going to equal 9/8. Now I can do my subtraction. 9/8 subtract 5/8 is 4/8, and 4 subtract 3 is 1. And if I wanted to, I could go ahead and simplify my answer to make it 1 1/2. So that is the answer to this problem. So we're going to do another problem that is actually a little bit more challenging. And the reason why this problem is more challenging is we have denominators that are not the same. So the first thing you need to do is make equivalent denominators. I'm going to change this 4 2/3 into a fraction that has 9 as its denominator so that it equals the 9 on the fraction above it. So in this case, 3 times 3 is 9. So 2 times 3 is 6. Now, once again, referring to our last slide, we can't do 2/9 subtract 6/9 because this fraction below is bigger. So I'm going to go ahead and take one whole number away from the 6, make it a 5, and I'm going to go ahead and add a 9/9 to this existing fraction of 2/9. So your answer would be 11/9 because I'm adding that whole fraction of 9/9. So now my new problem reads 11/9 subtract 6/9, and your answer is going to be 5/9. Next, I'm going to do 5 subtract 4 equals 1. So my answer is going to be 1 5/9. Now it's time for some practice problems. Feel free to pause and see if you can do these on your own without my help. Hopefully you notice that we have a bigger fraction on the number that we're subtracting from. So we need to go ahead and redistribute some numbers. I'm going to cross out the 5, make it a 4, and add on 6/6 to this fraction of 3/6 to make its new form 9/6. Now I can just subtract as normal. 9/6 subtract 4/6 is 5/6, and 4 subtract 4 is 0. So my answer to this problem is 5/6. Practice problem number 2. Please pause. In this problem, I'm going to make my equivalent fraction be a number that's over 8 because 8 is going to be my common denominator. 2 times 4 is 8, and 1 times 4 is 4. Now, I'm noticing that I need to redistribute my top number because I can't do 1/8 subtract 4/8. I'm going to subtract a whole number, make it 2, and add 8 to my numerator to make it 9/8. 9/8 subtract 4/8 is 5/8, and 2 minus 1 is 1. So my answer to this problem is 1 5/8. Feel free to circle the smiley face and also write a question on today's lesson.